The things that were going on in my mind is, okay, what if something happened on the table and God forbid I don't wake up? Hey beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. We've just seen me, we are looking good and we are feeling good. I'm feeling very good, I'll be honest with you guys. This is a video about how I had surgery 4 days ago now, and kind of the journey to that point, but I'm doing good. I don't want to alarm anybody. I just want to kind of share what's been going on for the last 3 months in my life. So happy Mother's Day, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to release this on Mother's Day, but I love any day to celebrate women. So yes, shout out to all the special women in our lives, especially shout out to my mother, who was really there for me through this journey. So basically, to start right at the beginning, it was 3 months ago when I found out, just lying in bed late at night, and I felt a huge lump. Like, I didn't even think self-examination had ever been like a big priority of mine. Like, whenever I remember to do it, I do it, but I was just lying in bed and I just felt this hard, large lump, and I was shook. Like, I immediately jumped out of bed, ran to a mirror, and like just started like touching it and playing around with it, and like pretty soon after I was like, yeah, that is a real lump. That's not like, you know, a figment of my imagination. That issue's there. And it was probably maybe 2-3 days before Christmas. I immediately called. Like, it was hard to rest that night because in the back of my mind I'm thinking, oh my god, what is that? Like, is that a tumor? Is that cancer? So I immediately called my GP the first thing in the morning. Obviously, Christmas period, they're kind of closing down a little bit, but they found me a slot. Actually, I think the first initial appointment was a phone appointment with one of the doctors there, and he would just ask me to do a bit of self-examination. Does it move? How large is it? And I remember thinking it's 2 inches large. Like, it's huge. Like, I couldn't believe how big it was and how I'd never noticed it before. And then he was like, okay, well, we need you to come in as soon as possible. Already alarm bells going off in my head when they're like, we need you to come in as soon as possible, you know. And I'm 32. The last thing I'm ever expecting is that I'm going to be diagnosed with, you know, breast cancer, but I can't deny that there is one hell of an alien something in my right boob. So I've come in, and this is not my first time, by the way, finding a lump. I found a lump in my left breast when I was 17. So I read up a little bit about it already. I kind of knew if the lump isn't moving, that's a bad sign. And my lump was not moving. Like, it was stuck in place and there was no pain as well. Again, if there's no pain, that's a bad sign. And all the things that were going through my mind, like, it's not moving, there's no pain. I don't know what else it could be if not cancer. I even hate saying that word out loud now. Like, I feel like I'm a little bit traumatized. But the good thing at the time is it felt quite smooth. And again, if it's quite rough and bumpy, that's not a good sign, but it was quite smooth. I just want to say to you guys, as you're watching this, please just take 20 seconds, have a little feel around, you know, because the earlier something like this is detected, the better your chances are at, you know, being able to have a full recovery. So, you know, me, I'm self-diagnosing, reading all these articles before my appointment with my GP, and I remember I get there and he's like, strip examine the breast, and he was like, yeah, you're right, it's not moving. Okay, it's a bit concerning, let's get you in to see a specialist. So they then told me they couldn't get me in to see a specialist. I'm gonna take these off because I'm actually giving me a bit of a headache with all the lights. So they couldn't get me in to see a specialist before New Year, so it would have to be in 2022. And I'm just like, oh god, how am I meant to enjoy Christmas? How am I meant to enjoy New Year's with having this at the back of my mind? And it even seems like my doctor's now worried. He agrees with me that it's not moving. So anyway, I think my appointment was around the 5th of January, so it's about 10 days, maybe more, 12 days from when I first saw the GP before I got to see, you know, a specialist in like the breast department. So I went to see the specialist, another male doctor. My GP was a male as well, and then they're examining you, and you know, it's not uncomfortable. I'm not like very shy or whatnot, but like he seemed to have somebody else training, and then they will ask you, and this happened a few times, do you mind if like this other person also has a feel? And I'm just like, y'all are really just passing me around. Everybody want to touch the breast. You know, things that were going through the back of my mind. And anyway, he's like examining me, and he's like, oh, okay, it's moving quite a bit. I don't remember what he called it. And I'm like, are you sure? Because when I feel it doesn't move, and the GP also said it doesn't move. And he was like, no, there's a lot of mobility here, I'm certain of it. And I was like, okay, this is good. And he was like, but there's no pain. I was like, there's no pain, there's no discharge, there's no discharge. And he was like, look, well, I think these are good signs that it's moving, but we want to get you in to have what was it that I had? Oh, I want to say a mammogram, but I'm not sure that's exactly what it is. But they wanted to get me in to have like a machine go over it and have a look. If I remember what it is, I'll put it on the screen. So that was maybe 2 weeks after I saw the specialist before I got to go in and see this other female doctor. And honestly, the back of my mind, I convinced myself it was the worst case scenario. There's nothing worse than having all that time to do research, and you know, your mind starts to play tricks on you. And I was just like, you know what, I've had a good life. I've had a good life. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. Obviously I'm going to try and fight it, but it's quite big. It might be too advanced. I'm not going to spend the like last few months, whatever, you know, in chemo. I'm going to travel. Like, these were the things that were literally going through my mind. And then I went to see the specialist, and she was like, she put the gel on, she put her machine on, and she was like, look, we're going to do a biopsy today because we want to get an extract so we can have it tested in the lab. You know, it is a very large lump, but I am happy that it is smooth, and I am happy that it is mobile. You still don't have any pain? I'm like, no pain. And she's like, okay, that's a bad sign, but okay. So she was trying to reassure me, but I'm just thinking, these doctors are out here trying to lie to me. Just tell me I'm dying. Like, there's no need for all this pitter patter. I can feel this huge humongous thing in my chest that has literally just grown overnight. Y'all are just trying to just play your cards so close to your chest. Why are you putting me in for biopsies, putting me in for mammograms, sending me to see this doctor, that doctor, if you're actually not worried? So anyway, so she does the thingy, and she's like, yeah, it all looks smooth, this is good sign, but it is very large. And she's like, okay, we're going to do a biopsy. It wasn't painful, the biopsy, to be honest. They had to numb the area. Oh my god, as I'm talking about it right now, guys, I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling pain. I haven't felt pain in ages. I think it might be like a mental thing. Oh, that's really painful. But I think it's mental, guys. So she did a biopsy where they like stick a needle into the tumor, and they extract, I think she extracted like 4 samples from the lump to have it tested in the lab. And I had to wait again for the results of that. And she also had an assistant that also wanted to feel the lump and the breast and whatnot. And I'll put pictures of it here, because like you could visibly see this lump. Like when I took my bra off, when I took my clothes off, you could literally see the lump bulging through. So I had the biopsy, I'm waiting for the results. I travelled, I went to Nigeria. I knew they would have written to me. They might even have been trying to call me. They probably wouldn't have been able to get through. But in my mind, I was avoiding. I was like, I'm not going to think about it. I don't want to know. They're going to come back and tell me worst case scenario. I just want to live my life. You know, there was a lot of avoidance. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell, the only person that kind of knew was my sister and 2 of my friends. I just didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. But then in the end, I had to get my sister to open the letter, because I was gone in Nigeria for longer than I planned to be. And I was like, look, you can't actually avoid this. You need to know, you know, what your next steps are. Do you need to start chemo? Do you need to have surgery? Like, what needs to happen next? So my sister read the letter to me while I was away, and they said to me, yep, we've confirmed, we believe it is a fibroadenoma. which is like a lump that grows in your breast based off of hormonal changes. They said they didn't believe it was cancerous, but due to the size of it, they would definitely recommend excision, because lumps like this can potentially turn cancerous later down the line. Anything can happen, so they were recommending surgery. I was so happy, guys. I was so relieved. I was like, oh my God, I'm not dying. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I've been praying a lot through this. I hadn't wanted to tell my mom because I know my mom would be scared. She would be very upset. Like, but then it was surgery, and I was like, crap. I've never had surgery before. The thought of it scared me because, you know, people go in for a simple procedure and anything can happen. And they gave me a surgery date. It was, I think, maybe 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks from when I had the confirmation that, you know, the biopsy wasn't cancerous. They believed, like, they hadn't seen any cancer cells. And they gave me, you know, the surgery date, and I was just thinking, crap, I have to tell my mom. because honestly, I didn't want to worry her. I didn't want to worry anybody, but because they're putting you under, I was gonna have to have anesthesia. Anything can happen. You know, if I had a bad reaction, I could collapse. Like, I needed somebody to watch out for me after the surgery for the next 24 hours. So I told my mom. My mom's crying, you know, but she's praying. She's like, everything's gonna be okay. Just have faith. Anyway, the night beforehand, like, I really didn't think about it for those three weeks where, you know, I knew I was having surgery. I really didn't think about it. I didn't talk about it. I kind of just pretended it wasn't happening, right until like 2 days before, the day before. Like, my mum's flown in, it's hit home, she's praying with me, and I've started to get very scared. Like, the things that were going on in my mind is, okay, what if something happens on the table and God forbid I don't wake up? Or what if I'm left, you know, deformed? It's a huge lump to take out. It was like 5 centimeters. What if I'm left deformed, you know, when they take it out, and, you know, it doesn't look right? Or what if there's really bad scarring? Or just what if I lose sensation in, you know, the nipple or the breast? Like, worst case scenario, all this stuff was coming to my mind. Or what if, you know, when they take it out, it is cancer, you know? And I started watching, which I do not recommend to anybody to do. I started watching lumpectomy videos to find out how people found it. Was it really painful? You know, like, did anything go wrong? People sharing their stories, and there were actual surgeries coming up on YouTube where I watched them cut women open and extract the lump, and it was just freaking me out. This was all the night before. My mum's sleeping in my room, I'm in the guest room, and I'm basically scaring myself. Like, I'm watching these videos, and it was good to see what other women who'd gone through it share their experiences, because most people said there wasn't any pain, the scarring wasn't too bad. But I was reading about girls as young as 17, 14, 15, 19, 21 finding lumps in their breasts and also being scared. And I just thought, God, this is such an awful thing for, you know, women to have to go through, young girls to have to go through. And even I'm going into this thinking, or at least believing, it's a fibroadenoma and there's no cancer. There are people, you know, having this surgery that I'm going to have tomorrow where they've been told it is cancer, where, you know, I'm worried about deformity and these women are going to lose their whole breast. Like, there was just so much going through my mind. And I'd worked myself into such a frenzy that I decided I was going to ask my doctor some questions. And if I didn't like the answers he gave me, because up until that point I hadn't seen my surgeon, which is something I did not like. You didn't get an opportunity to see your surgeon and ask him questions before the day of. And I had so many questions, like, what was the scarring going to be like, how large the incision was going to be, where the incision was going to be, what were the risks. I hadn't had an opportunity to ask any of these questions. Like, I think a few days beforehand I'd seen a nurse, we'd done blood tests, you know, they'd taken my weight, everything to get ready, but I actually hadn't seen the surgeon. And in my mind I'm like, right, I'm gonna ask him all these questions. I had like a whole list written on my phone. I'm like, if he doesn't answer it competently, I'm not having the surgery. I I was just trying to find a way to back out. I didn't want to have it done, and I didn't want to tell my mum, but I pretty much made up my mind that there was a very good chance I was not going to have the surgery. I was like, nope, you're gonna have to leave me and my lump alone. I can live with it. I don't want it. Like, it's just so many worst case scenarios kept popping up in my mind. Anyway, the morning of, you know, I was very like meticulous. I was up early. I couldn't drink any I couldn't eat any food from midnight before. I couldn't drink anything from 5 o'clock. So from 9 o'clock that night, while watching the YouTube videos, I had my last meal. Didn't drink anything till I got to the hospital. To be honest, in the hospital, they looked after me. There's a whole bunch of people there, and there's no specific order. You don't know the order you're going to go in at the time. When I went in, they told me I was going to be the first, and that was such a relief to me, because I didn't want to sit there all day seeing people go in for their surgeries and, you know, having more time to think and more time to get scared. So when they told me, they were like, if nothing else changes, you're going to be first. I was like, yes, thank God. And then that started to calm my nerves a little bit, because I was still thinking, I'm going to go home. I'm sorry, Mum. You came all this way because I'm gonna go home with my lump. You know, but then my doctor came in, and he was very smart, very handsome, by the way. I'm not gonna lie to you. I texted one of my friends, and I was like, girl, this man is perfect for you. Look him up on LinkedIn. Slide in his DMs. But he was very kind, gentle, very well spoken. You know, I'd been doing researches about incisions and stuff, and he immediately told me he wanted to do a circular incision. I was like, yes, I didn't even have to ask you. I read that's like the best type of incisions for healing. He was telling me he wanted to do it as close to the nipple as possible for a minimal scarring. Like, he was just saying things that were putting me at ease for some of the concerns I had in my head. And I wanted to know, look, if you take out a lump at that size from my breast, like, what's it going to look like in comparison to the other one? And he was just like, you know, don't worry about that. I'm going to do my best to make sure you're happy with the results. There should be tissue regrowth. He was just, and I was like, are you sure? The guy probably thought I studied for how many years? You're actually sat here asking me if I'm sure. But I was just like, don't just tell me what I want to hear. Like, let me know now so I can change my mind if things are not going to be, you know, acceptable. But anyway, he reassured me. They gave me these socks to kind of prevent blood clotting, which again was another fear of mine. You know, that's one of the complications that can happen every time you go to surgery, apart from, you know, having a bad reaction to the anesthesia. So anyway, they wouldn't let my mum come in because my mum hadn't been tested, so I'm just sitting in the room. Luckily I didn't wait too long from when they put me in a robe and they gave me painkillers. The anesthesian came to talk to me, you know, and kind of just put me at ease as well, that, you know, they would be putting me under, but they wouldn't keep me under for long. He told me about the pain medication they would give me to manage the pain afterwards. Like, they just felt very competent. I felt very well looked after, which I know is not a lot of black women's experience when they go into the hospital. Anyway, time for the surgery. They've marked the breast, put a pen there. I'm like, good, at least you people know the breast, the lump is in. I don't want to come out. Y'all done effed up both of them. I don't know, I feel like I'm being humorous just because, I don't know, it was a lot. It really was a lot. And I'm walking in, and I walk into the theatre. Actually, they rolled me into the theatre, and there were like 6 people in there. I don't even know who all of them were. My surgeon wasn't even there yet. You know, it was my anesthesian. He was there, but then there were nurses, I think some people learning, and honestly, it freaked me out. And they were like, don't panic, you know, we're all here to make sure you receive the best care possible. I'm like, y'all are using me for a training exercise? How many of y'all are supposed to be in here? But anyway, I didn't panic. They had to put like something in the back of my hand to put me under. I feel like I took it like a champ. I do not like needles. I was expecting them to make me like count back, you know, they make count like in the movies, 10, 9, 8. They didn't make me do that. But I remember just seeing all the theatre lights above me while I was lying back, and they put me the drip in to put me under. And I woke up in the same room, and I didn't even realize. When I woke up, I didn't even realize I'd had the surgery. I was like, okay, when can we start? Like, it wasn't actually in the same room. They'd taken me out of theatre to like a recovery room. I was like, just thinking in my mind, like, when can we start? Like, it took me a little while to come out of that haze of like being put under, but I remember like I didn't realize there was no pain, and I was like, really, like, you're done? And they were done, and yeah, like I kind of tried to take a quick peek, and it looked good. Like, there wasn't, I couldn't see much because they'd like they hadn't even bandaged it, but they put a lot of like glue or something on it that was like white. It was like a waterproof thing to keep up moisture, and like it was like a glue bandage, but it looked good. Like, from what I could see, the incision was indeed in the nipple. I thought there might be a massive like hole in my breast. I couldn't see any. I remember being happy. I was very happy that, like, you know, I wasn't conscious of anything. I didn't even see my surgeon. Like, my guy came in, did his thing, and left. I didn't even see him, and I was just so thankful to have woken up. My surgeon actually told me before I went in, I'm not gonna lie to you, part of me was thinking maybe I'll keep the lump to remember this ordeal, and he was like, no, we have to have it tested immediately, because the site of the biopsy, there may not have been cancer cells there, but it's a very large lump at the other side there could possibly be. So not to alarm you, but we will run further tests. You know, so I'm like, okay, so I'm not even, I've had it removed, but I was thinking I'm not even out of the woods yet. They could still come back, and they could still tell me that this tumour is malignant and not benign. But honestly, I was happy. It was gone, which was such a relief, because there were times when I thought me and my lump are going to live happily ever after. But also towards the end of, like, towards that last month before I had surgery, I'd started to develop pain. Like, there would now be pain from time to time, especially around my period. So I was happy to have it gone, because when it was painful, when there was pain, it was becoming quite painful. And I will say though, about the surgery, I've had minimal pain in the aftermath. Like, that's why I'm kind of surprised I'm feeling pain while I'm talking now, because I didn't have any painkillers today. I didn't have any painkillers yesterday. The first 2 days after surgery, like, they told me I was taking paracetamol, I was taking ibuprofen every 6 to 8 hours. I remember when they gave me, I'm like, y'all are really not going to give me some good drugs? It's just like the everyday over-the-counter paracetamol and ibuprofen. I just had surgery. You'll tell me you ain't got some good stuff to give me, you know, because pain was a big concern of mine. I've had minimal pain. I've tried not to exert myself too much, but I've also realized that I am kind of, you know, doing a lot, because I'm so happy and I'm so thankful, and I just need to chill a bit, because, you know, it will take some time, and, you know, there could be complications after the surgery. So I just wanted to share that, and I want you guys to take some time, check yourselves. If you have anything that gives you pause for concern, don't wait, go straight away. Alert your doctor, alert your GP, get it tested, because the earlier something like this is caught, the better your chances are. I'm so grateful, thankful for my mum. Like, she was cooking, like, my fridge is stocked. You know, she sat with me in the, well, she wasn't with me, but she waited in the hospital the whole morning. People were like, is that your mum that's out there? Because everybody else that came with people for surgery, they would drop them and they would come back later to pick them up. My mum waited with me the whole time. She was just praying. She cooked for me, everything I wanted. She just took care of me, and, you know, I'm grateful. It's 4 days post surgery. I'm liking the way everything's healing. I am being, like, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't showered. I've been like washing, just because I don't want to get an infection that then will lead to more surgery or any additional risks. But things are looking good. I'm happy. There probably will be some tissue scarring, but at the moment I can't see too much of, you know, what the scar will be like, but I'm pretty happy that it's going to be around the nipple area. I wanted to share, guys, I'm doing really great. Thank you so much for all your well wishes, your prayers. I'm so happy. I'm still hoping, you know, I'm not gonna hear later that it's bad news, but there were definitely times where I thought it was the worst news, worst case scenario. And I know for some people it is that bad news that they're dreading. And I just want you to know that, like, my prayers are with you if you're going through something like this. I'm sending you all the love and light and healing in the world. It's not a nice situation to be in at all, but you know, there is hope. I mean, you just ding me. We're looking good, we're feeling good. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you later.
Original. Original.